Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be playing as Morocco and we're going to be doing the Reconquista as Morocco. Now, the Reconquista is obviously famous. It's when the Spanish kingdoms beat back, I think the Emirate of Cordoba, I think it was. Yep, Emirate of Cordoba. So this is like very obviously, it was pretty insane, right? It decided the fate of the Iberian Peninsula for centuries to come. And so yeah, no, I was given this. This was a suggestion given to me a while back, so I decided to finally do this one, and it was long overdue, honestly. I thought it was an interesting idea, also, so that's why I decided to do it. Now, Granada asked me to form a coalition against Castile. I didn't want to get into it that early, right? Because my plan right here, as of now, was to build up strength by attacking my neighbors first, and then make my attack on the Iberian Peninsula, right? That would be the one that decides everything. And so I attacked Telemachus. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know, but Telemachus. I don't know how to pronounce it, right? But I attacked them, and I was able to conquer them completely, right? It was a close battle, but I was able to conquer them eventually, and I took half their country, right? So now I had some decent added strength, and of course I economically recovered, and like I reduced taxes mainly so that happiness would increase. As you guys know, I've done this before, and because it really helps, right? Like you guys have no idea. Like I mean, the happiness in general, it will increase your revenue a lot for the foreseeable future, for like the long term, right? Meanwhile, because Portugal started attacking Telemachus or Lemican, I don't know. And I got Tunis to declare war on Portugal so that it would ensure that they weren't able to capture the country until, of course, I assimilated and did it myself. I mean, of course, can't let others conquer. So what I did next was I instead decided to go to the nation below Tlemican and attack Zab or Mazab, I don't know. And I took them over very quickly. There was a very easy fight. Meanwhile, I decided to go against Gord. Okay, I don't know how to. Yeah, them as well. They got conquered very fast. I was able to annex them completely. So again, as you can see, I was building my strength. I was attacking my neighbors, building my strength, ensuring that I had enough. Meanwhile, I noticed that all of a sudden, Aragon versus Castile, right? And I was like, okay, this is huge. The Iberian kingdoms are fighting. This is my chance. I can take advantage. And so I raised an army quickly in Morocco and invaded. And I declared war on Castile and quickly headed to Gibraltar, took the port. Just like that, I took it, and then Aragon was fighting Castile, right? The Castilians got territory, but I wasn't able to get it in time. The Aragonese got it before me. And so then I decided, okay, there's only one thing I can do. All I can do is really wait till the peace deal hits, and then take whatever's left of our Castile, like a vulture. And Castile was left down to one province in the islands, and so I decided to just send a few forces, finish them off, so that the peace deal can happen. And meanwhile, I sent those forces back to Spain, and soon this peace deal did happen, and I was left with the essential carcass of the Castilian nation. And so I basically just, again, like a vulture, basically just picked them off, right? Now, my initial invading force to the northern part of Castile died out. Of course, I didn't really care because my main force came and attacked, and soon enough, I was able to overwhelm them. Keep in mind, what made it easier was the fact that they were just at war with Aragon, and so they were practically broke. Meanwhile, I decided to let go of like the province at the bottom, the island provinces. I didn't need them because technically to form this nation, I didn't need to conquer islands or those islands to like far away. And meanwhile, I used the troops that were left over from that invasion to prepare for an attack on Telemachus. Meanwhile, I, of course, assimilated the territories, I mean, as you do. And afterwards, I basically just prepared for the war, right? And promptly enough started my invasion of Telemachus, or at least what was left of them. Soon enough, they fell, and now I felt that it was time for me to properly, I was strong enough, right? 126,000 factories. I felt like I was strong enough to now potentially take on the Iberian kingdoms properly. And so the first target, I realized like the first target of mine would probably be Castile, because I realized that their peace deal with me was actually finishing up pretty soon. And so I waited And I waited also for my territories in like Iberia to finish assimilating, right? Because I didn't want to rush things. And of course, with that, I stockpiled a huge sum of money too. And so I thought about who to attack, and I decided, okay, fine, Portugal is going to be a good bet. Funny enough, before actually, yeah, no, I said Castile. My bad. Portugal was the one I attacked. And so I rallied up a massive army in Spain to invade Portugal. I wanted to make sure that this went well and that it went successful. And so even though I knew Aragon would be mad, right? They were good allies with me, keep in mind. I knew Aragon would be mad, but I still invaded because I wanted to, obviously take them over. I mean, that's pretty simple of premise. But the Portuguese managed to actually break my lines at one point. However, I was able to attack the literal entire rest of their country, and then soon they were dead. And of course, they were left with their islands, but I was luckily able to take the whole thing just like that. It just let me. And meanwhile, I gathered all my forces together, and then I realized I had enough to basically just invade Castile, or what was left of it. And so I decided to do exactly just that. And I also tried to annex Jared, which also worked. So now I was even more stronger. And I looked around and I realized, okay, so I tried to annex some of the Italian states, did not work. So I didn't really want to go for that one. Meanwhile, Savoy declared war on me, so I got France to declare war on them. I didn't want to do anything with Savoy. So once that was done, I attacked Castile, finished them off, wiped them off of the map. They were gone for good. Now they were kicked out of Iberia. Now all that was left was Aragon and Navarre. And so I disbanded my military. I didn't want it anymore because I knew I needed to invest all of my money in assimilation right now because I do not want any revolts, right? Because once revolt risk goes up in this game, it's very annoying to get it down, right? So meanwhile, Naples declares war on me, so I get the Papal States to go to war with Naples because I don't want to do anything, right? I don't want to. I get a bunch of Italian states actually, a whole coalition to go to war with Naples, and eventually Naples is surrounded, naval invaded, and then defeated, and then split up. So now I don't have to deal with Naples anymore. Meanwhile, I once again, return and I think about, attacking. And also I realized that I missed a part of Portugal. They'd owned a part of Africa all this time and I never knew. I sent out an ultimatum, they refused. So they felt the might of Morocco basically come down upon them. And I was able to take it back and take them over. Meanwhile, meanwhile, I was out here invading Iberia, and of course Aragon was now all of a sudden invading France, and I got scared because I realized, oh wait, if Aragon is able to assimilate those territories, they will grow stronger, right? Because now that I was conquering, Aragon was conquering too, and so this is gonna be a final showdown. Now, I started mass recruiting in the Iberian Peninsula because this is where the main battle is gonna take place, right? This is where the battle of the Mediterranean is going to happen. Okay, so I realized the Aragonese were now returning home from their French conquest, and honestly, it must have come as a shock to them that we invaded. But then again, our relations weren't that good before the war either, so it doesn't matter. Now, I started attacking, and I even sent troops into the waters to ensure that they couldn't naval invade me. And I reorganized my lines and once again continued on the attack. The Aragonese could not stop me. My advance was basically unimpeded. I sent some troops down to attack the Balearic Islands, while the rest of the army regrouped and continued the attack north. And while I was at it, and while I reached the border with the French territories that they'd taken, I decided to keep going because I needed the victory points. And I decided to just annex Navarre while I was at it, while I had this big army and I could threaten them, which they, of course, readily accepted. Meanwhile, once I'd finished conquering the French territories that Aragon had conquered and gathered my forces again, I sent them over to Corsica so that they could take the last few islands of Aragon. And so now, finally, Aragon was defeated. One province down, they were over. And soon I began the peace deal, in which I took all of Iberia, all the way until the Pyrenees Mountains. And I even took a Balearic island for some spare change, I guess. And so just like that, I formed, or I did the Reconquista of the Reconquista as Morocco. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.